Start.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mala, and I am here just to introduce the speaker and the topic to you. And I must say, I am extremely happy and fortunate to do that. And looking at some of the topics and some of the speakers that I have been able to introduce, I must say I'm getting drawn into these subjects, these unique subjects myself. Today is yet another very unique subject, something that I've never heard of before. So I'm really keen to listen to him as much as all of you. So thank you to Ancient Roots for organizing this. Before I introduce you to the speaker and the topic, just a few words about Ancient Roots once again. It is a group of history, heritage, archaeology, and index studies enthusiasts operating completely on a passion-driven and voluntary mode. And their goal is to bring facts about lesser known subjects and topics to the common man. The key words being completely voluntary and passion-driven. About the speaker today, Mr. V. Ramanan. He is a journalist, author, and writer. And presently, he is the editor of the famous summer weekly magazine, Kalki. He is very passionate about Indian history, culture, and politics. He has authored 12 books in Tamil. He writes in different genres like profiles of personalities like Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, and life stories of various other personalities. Recently, his book on M.S. Subbulakshmi, the musical legend, has been translated into English. And about the topic, I am not going to say much about the topic except just one key tagline, which is he would be talking about measuring or surveying the entire Indian subcontinent. And the subject would be on the man, the machine, and the mission. Over to the speaker.
Good evening, friends. Hope you are able to hear me.
Yeah.
Just check, Rajaram, whether it can be audible.
Yeah, you're audible, sir. You can talk.
Okay. Good evening, friends. And perhaps I should thank the organizers for the best opportunity I had today to talk something about which I love very much. Geography is not my subject or not directly my cup of tea. Professionally, basically, I'm a banker. But I happened to come across about this theodolite and lambton. Then I got deep into that. I would collect some few books and visit National Archives to see the documents about him. That made me to write a book on Tamil about the great journey. Now, let us see how we are going to organize in today's show. And first, see, you must have been wondering why the title has been given the man, machine, and the mission. See, what happens is man's services or job cannot be matched by mission, so as the mission's job. Here, it's a very unique combination of a man who loved a mission and with a great determination, he wanted to achieve a mission. That the mission is what is that? First, let us see who is this man. He's a William Lambton. This man has traveled 1,800 miles in 22 years in India. And during this travel, he faced a lot of challenges. Challenges means it is not like a ordinary, like any other person. He met a different type of challenge, and perhaps challenged by the nature, people, hostile people, a strong administrative hurdles. Finally, the last but not the least, the great floods and all that. What happens was due to this, the entire journey where he got a contingent of people about 60 at one point of time, 120. One by one, they start dying. Totally in this exercise, Indian lives are lost, 150 lives are lost. It is a very, very tragically things which cannot be easily just because to draw a map we can do it. But when we go into the origins of this journey, we can understand that. Now, this man had, next is this, about this mission, you see, this mission name is Theodolite. Some must have been aware of it, but for the sake of other listeners, it is invented by 16th century by an English mathematician, Leonard Diggers. Look, he is a mathematical teacher. He is not an instrument maker, but sheer out of his interest, he devised this mission, which helped for many people, especially measuring the angle in surveying applications. The main advantage of this is this one mission will measure the angle of horizontal as well as vertical planes. Invariably, the earlier instruments they had to use two different instruments and carrying everywhere and match with that. But the mission alone cannot do a thing. Perhaps the mission requires a mastery or a man who got a mastery over this. Lambton, who has all along been working with this, loved this mission, and he took this mission for 40 years with him, 32 years exactly. But that is not the mere thing. The problem with this is this mission, you know, what is it? It is, his weighing is close to half a ton, just like a small tractor of nowadays. He carried this mission all through his journey, and he never allowed someone else even to meddle it, because he feels his mission is precious for him. Why he feels precious also there is a reason for it. The main reason is measuring India, preparing a map is his rather passion, ambition, whatever you call it. But you will be surprised if I say this person is not a person who is not qualified, professionally qualified to become a surveyor. He is not even a mathematician. It is astonishingly, the fact is, he was an army officer in UK Army, British Army. British has a colonial system of having certain places in Canada and far off Northern American continent. One place known as, that time Canada was known as a British Canada because they want to occupy that place. But the local protest was so heavy, there was a war, and the British Army lost the war. One of the officers got as a prisoner of war is this Lambton. He was a captain at that time, just promoted as a captain. He was a prisoner there, war prisoner there. So as an international convention, the war prisoners, they have been assigned a particular type of a job and for which they have been paid salary also. So what happens is the Lambton has been taken as in their survey department. He is a very intelligent, very shrewd person, but doesn't know anything about survey. He learned the survey techniques. He understood how the mathematics knowledge he had can be used for this. He developed very fast on that. At one point of time, the entire survey team depending on him for his assistance. So he was surveying the Canada. Before completing that, the peace treaty was signed with the United States. At that time, it was not the United States. The Canada and the UK. He has been released and back to England. In England, he has not been given any survey job. An army officer is an army officer. What if he have been a POW? Again, he has been joined army, become a routine officer. Within 2 years, he has been sent to India. In India for what? India, they were fighting with the Tipu Sultan, which they were not able to successfully make that war. Every time when they went with uh, lot of losses and people literally British army was losing the battle. Twice they accepted literally by signing a treaty that they are lost it. But UK government doesn't want to have this type of the continue. So they sent a new, his name is Wellesley, and later on he became a viceroy and become, governor general. The Wellesley is a very smart officer. He is devising a strategy to win over the Sultan. And that process, the man who assisted him with this lantern, he has been elevated as a senior captain, not as a major, with him. Impressed by his intelligence, and at one point of time, the strategy suggested by Lantern, he will be able to win the war and arrest the Tipu Sultan. Finally, they killed Tipu Sultan. So he was in the good books of commander. So he asked them to take up a collectorship of Mysore. In those days, an army officer always been getting a civilian posting, and they'll continue in the army ranks and get the salary and pension, other perks there. The advantage is being an army man in the civilian position, any riots or any protest can be easily handled because they know how to handle a larger crowd than the regular civilian person. So British army, all British people always had the technique of posting army people in the district administration, some places even as a magistrate. So, but Lambton politely refused, and he expressed his desire. You know what's his desire? He says, I want to measure this country and prepare a map. That is his mission. The mission of the Lambton was he draw a perfect map of India within the next 20 years. Look at his plan. And integrate the world map being prepared by a team in Europe. In Europe, a team was working and they were preparing a map, a global map, so that all the countries preparing individual maps will be integrated so that it will be without any mistakes or without any corrections or problems. Further, they got certain guidelines, basic guidelines they are given by using the longitude and all that. We are going to discuss on that. The army commander was astonished at the man's interest, and he said immediately he recommends his for an assignment to Chennai governor, that time Madras governor, Robert Clive. Clive was looking for someone to complete. He had an ambition to have the survey this part of the country, because his intention is not to help mere geography. His intention is to charge levy more revenue and to increase the income of the state. So he said immediately accepted him, and he was commissioned to as a chief surveyor doing the surveying job. The assignment is given to him. He has to survey and prepare the maps up to Mysore, Mangalore and Mysore. But he's able to complete this mission. Has he been able to achieve this? Or can he be able to draw the first map of India as he wished? Any able person assisted him? All these are the questions we are going to examine in today's talk. Look at this. Map is always a fascinating thing for mankind. Right from the beginning, because it's one of the ancient root of human culture of human value. Every time right from the beginning, the man wanted to exactly record where he lives and what he does and what is available. Look, this is the first map of the world that has been declared as the first map of the world. It has been prepared even before the paper era. It is known as a Babylonian map of the world. Look at the world map itself was like this. It's fragmented because during the handling on those things, it has been picked up from Cyprus river bed near Babylonia. And it is a map of, first they thought it is some city map of Mesopotamia. Then later on somebody deciphered the language, they found with the inscription on that, it is a world map. Look at the world map, it's such a small, probably about less than 10 inches stone. But This is only to understand even 5,000 years ago, man is interested in having a map. Then slowly, in the process of evaluation, this has come to the next stage of drawing a map with accuracy, with mathematical knowledge. This George Bartholomew is a Scottish person. He got a warrant, the warrant in the sense a command from the king to prepare a world map. He is a qualified person, he is a mathematician, those days the word cartographer is not being used, they say he's a map writer. And he is politically also, he got a backing from the government. He started doing it, with the 10 years time, he prepared this map. But look at this map. On today's standards, or anybody accept, they will not accept this is a map at all. But this was considered to be the first map printed in a paper. But even then, look at this. This is how the India was being drawn in that map, which you have seen as a sort of a cubical form. Because Bartholomew felt the map should be in the form of a globe, then only people will understand the world is sort of a globe, because the theory was being floated some time back, just before he started his work. But all these, there mean many countries have similar exercise they have done. Almost close to 30 countries at that point of time was preparing one map or other, but all were mere drawings. If a map means it must be perfectly right, and it should be in a position to decipher and understand the distance and the place and height of the places if there is name. But it was none of it there. It's all been, even names have been not written properly. Whatever they know, they are written. Here, look at the word Hindustan, they are not written. Indostan. The word Indostan was in India. To understand that is in India, it took so many years because people were thinking that is some other continent because the shape and size were different. But later on, it has been identified, this is the Indian map. Okay, then like any other process of any other scientific invention, the process of the improved versions have come. With these early maps like this have come with the longitude and latitude lines, which Bartholomew was suggesting. You could see in the second picture, the lines have been drawn across the globe. Those are vertical as well as horizontal. That this point of time, it becomes an accepted universal fact to draw a map by any country. That time there is no United Nations, there is no any such a thing, but it has been accepted because what Royal Society of British or Royal Society of Geographic Society England and the Royal Society of French accepts is that the whole world accepts. That's how this the whole concept was working. Next, you look at this. Coming to India, whether do we have a maps? Yes. We had map in the sense, as early as 1590, in Akbarnama, there is a separate chapter called Alin Akbari. The Alini Akbari, they index and they put it, is a map of the country where Akbar has the jurisdiction. But if you look into that, it becomes a sort of a joke. They have never drawn any line, always they had some of pictures here and there, and so probably they use the word map and atlas for recording the events and events of the places. Probably that could have been somebody would have been suggested, and that because of that they will. After that, days goes by, and after this, before the pre-British era, all princely states have the maps. The problem with these princely states they have their own maps. It is not integrated with them. In addition to that, they always fight with the neighboring king and annex some places, leave some places, but they don't incorporate in the map. So many places, the princely, if you especially when some of the central India part of India, if you see two princely states will be showing it the same place in their map. So it was being not at all. I mean, it is not because their own map, but it is not integrated. But maps were there. Now, at this background, let us go back to our lantern, who has come for because the war has brought him. The Tipu Sultan war has. See, every war has some good as well as bad things. In this, the war. The good thing is the country got a good, dedicated man who can draw the map. But I told you, he was not a surveyor, he was not for the qualification, but a mayor with the confidence of doing it. And the government also the faith in him, believed his confidence, and encouraged him to do it. But he's such a dedicated man. In his early life, he underwent a lot of, because he's a son of a farmer. So he knows what is the difficult way of living in the life comparing to any other British officers. Because many of the British officers come from a very, very decent family, or some of them are royals. Just for the sake of getting a commission, they will use, Whereas this man is a very, very, he was grown in a very difficult situation. And he knows what is a life living. So he accepted anything as a challenge. When he wanted to have this map, he was asking for to the governor. He wanted to do the job with the latest state-of-art technology, the equipment. So that is also been permitted by the government. They were nice enough to understand his requirements, but that has to come from far-off places. One from England, then it is from the France. Till such a time, what he will do? But he has not wasted his time. Like this, it is in an imaginary picture. Like this, he was put a tent in the Marina Beach. Because here I want to tell you, the work has been started from Madras, the then Madras. Why? Any specific reason? No other reason except the seat of power was there at the point of time, Chennai. And Chennai will have everything. If it is a survey, if it is a medical college, everything will be there here only. So Clive told him to take charge of here and start doing work. And indirectly, they also want to monitor whether this chap is doing things properly. So he put up this. All through the day, he was sitting like this and watching in the tides. And he was then, he will be, night, in the early night, he will be watching the sky. What for? He is not a mere surveyor alone. He is a person who who has been totally committed to learn many things in his life. And one of the perhaps the most interested passion was is watching the sky in the night and understanding the movements of the stars, which helped him to understand the directions where he is going, even for the map reading. But really, this all can be combined in one person. It is with him only. So finally, he was waiting for that. Meantime, he did this MSL. Many of you must be knowing that mean sea level. What is that sea level? See, any survey or any map reading or map listing, first thing they should have what is the mean sea level? That is, what is the sea level? It is very funny, the country will have so many different levels of sea level. Then how to make a uniform one? For that, they had some formula. They will measure the low and high tide on every 1 hour or every 5 hours, whatever in the frequency. Not 1 year, 2 years, 9 years. If 9 years average has been taken up, then it will be at the mean sea level. Already it has been taken and it is recorded. It is available in Madras Gazette. But Lambton wants to ensure himself that is correct because he is obsessed with the perfection. Anything he wants to do it very perfectly. So what he does till the mission comes, every day he is taking the measurements. How do you take a measurement of a high and low tide? You put a bamboo sticks on the shore, 3 or 5 shores and different, and he marked with a color paint and which is the height. With that, he measures and takes the average. Look at the way how they have been so distinct. And the mission each we wanted, known as the development. That's what we are told about the mission first. He wanted, this is the now first picture you are seeing, the drawing is the old version. And the next one, which is even today standing like this, and perhaps now it is better looking, beautifully polished now. It is there in Dehradun, Geographical Society of India. Here, when they ordered the mission, all the problems started there. Lambton was hoping against hope it would come, but it was not so easy. There are only 4 missions are available in the world, and out of which one has been ordered. What Lambton ordered has not sent to Lambton, it has sent to China because the Emperor wanted it. Emperor is emperor, no? So he was searching for another one. Luckily, when somebody in Calcutta procured this mission for sale, it has come on the way. So he told the governor that he wanted. So you know the British bureaucracy, East India Company, how does it work? They said once it's required, anything required for the government, it has to be given delivered only to the government, not to the consignee. So they have taken the mission like this. So finally, the mission arrived. The mission arrived, and the happiest person is Lambton. And because of this, he was explaining about this every day to the workers, officers, and all. Everyone was very curious to know what is this. So it had a royal reception, and they especially designed a bullock cart because it's heavy, half a ton. And Lambton is worried how the people will handle this, whether they handle it properly or they will make it wrongly. So he has all the precautions he has taken. He has taken classes to them how to handle this mission with the help of interpreters. But the workers has understood one thing, whether the mission or they know this foreigner this British man got a high value for this mission, we should handle it safe. That is enough for Lambton because that was his aim. Because the people at the lower level, if they are not understanding this, the mission gets spoiled. It's a very difficult thing. So this is how he loves the mission. And he was keeping on looking at the mission and taking here and there. So first baseline, he works the baseline because I told you for surveying purpose, we need a baseline. And the baseline, he prepares it. See, look at this baseline. This mission has arrived after a couple of 6 months. Till 6 months, he was taking only the sea level. Then the first baseline, he draws it. Look, what you are seeing here, triangle. At one side is the Marina Beach. The other side, what you are seeing is a Guindy racecourse. Today it is a racecourse. It was known as a grandstand of Chennai Madras races. Why he had chosen that place was, it was a clear, from Marina, it was very clear to see up to the racecourse. Can you believe this? So he wanted to have a clear sight place and a height also, so that he can use this and can measure the baseline correctly. Look at the measure line, it doesn't mean just put a point to point, putting a mission or something to measure it. Those days they were using information called chains. You know, you must have seen even today surveying chains are being. Lambton doesn't want to use a mere chain. He wanted to use a foldable scale, which is what we are showing is an illustration. He had the metal foldable scales. He brought it from England. This advantage of this, he will hold it because he has to carry this all along. If it's a long chain and it will be very heavy. So this thing, but here the problem with this, you have to get it at a flat surface. Then only you will get the correct length. How will you get a flat surface when the ups and downs are there on the road, and sometimes the roads are higher, lower, everything. So for that, they used to have a canal, just like a channel, a wooden platform channel. That also have been brought from London. First, the channels will be fixed up to 100 feet with the tripod and adjusting the screws, and so that the level is. To see the level, they have a mercury meter. It's called a mercury meter. All of us must have seen nowadays. And that mercury meter he keeps at every place and find out the level is flat and even. In that, over that, you place this metal scales up to 100 feet. Take a measurement. Then move the same farnifolia to the next 100, like this. Believe, friends, this man has measured this country, and every 100 feet for every baseline. What is every baseline? We are going to see that. Here he encountered he was suspecting a problem because he studied a lot about the surveying techniques. These metal plates will get lightly expanded when there is a hot sun. You must have heard about it. Even our railway tracks, that's why we got a gap in between the two railings. This expansion heat on account of that, even if it is 0.002 of an inch, in an overall count, it will affect the length. So what Lambton says is, what he did is, He brought a special stainless steel, non-expandable scale from London. And every now and then he will verify with this wooden scale with the metal scale and find out what is the difference, note down, and adjust his markings accordingly. Look how much preciously he has done, how meticulously he has done it. This has to be done on every day. Just look at the paper. Like this, he has to draw and keep it. A surveyor job is not measuring. He got a lot of other internal work also there. He has to keep these records very safely and he has to submit these records. And every fortnight he has to send his report to the London also. Systematically he was doing it. And when this has been carried by people, for that they have been trained how to carry, how to get. In that, even the local police, they have been engaged and they have been taught how to hold even the stick. Lambton was so specific how these people have to handle this. And he mentioned in his, here I would like to tell you, Lambton has recorded all these things on a day-to-day basis as a diary. He is making two diaries. One is the events, one is the recording. This mathematics is totally formulas and tabulations, and they used extensively trigonometry and quotients and all that. Whereas this diary is quite interesting to read like this. All these are intact, available in Calcutta National Archives. 8 volumes of leather-bound, written in a bond paper like a stuff paper. Of course, they are not allowing public to handle it. They permit people like us who are interested in doing the sort of study and all that. They give very nice people on that. Now, with this data, that is the reason what happened was he has to taking a measurement of such a magnitude. You look at that, it took nearly close to, just he started on 10th April 802 and he could complete it only on May. What is the distance? Just 7.5 miles. For 7.5 miles, it took 1.5 months. This man wanted to measure the whole India like this. Whether anyone will be confident about, but he was confident. He says, yes, this is how it has to be done. Friends, please look at it. He's not an Indian. He's a British. That too, he was very tough. He was an army officer. He was a prisoner. And you can understand the mental makeup of such a people. But he loved the mission and the job. And it becomes probably is one of the best luck India had. It's a very, very early stage. We had a very right map. And some of the countries were trying to get the right, perfect map for so many years. After probably even 60s, they were working for that. Not only that, why it takes so much time means Lambton used the techniques of trigonometry survey. What is a trigonometry survey? People at the max students and the max hours can you understand? But don't worry, I'm not going to bore you about the mathematical theorem about your trigonometry, but you have to understand very basic things of it. See, if it is a serious triangles have been drawn and if it is connected at various points by serious triangles, and all the triangles are being measured, you will get the total length, not only total length, even without going to that place, you can exactly get the perfect distance of measuring that place. For example, sitting at Marina and sitting at the race course, he has measured the distance of St. Thomas Mount. How? Where only this mission has helped him. They call it as a triangulation stations, and the baseline once is over. On that point, the missions have been kept at 2 places and find out exactly a point. For that, a pilot team will be sent, and the pilot team job is to go first and place a flag there. And all these theodolite people with the telescope, whether they can see the flag perfectly. And they'll give not 1 time, 2 or 3 times, because sometimes this on account of the air or waves, the flag may be more little and there. So this person has to be there to ensure that flag post is being, because a survey flag post is like a army post. They have to ensure that it's been done. So with this, like this, once we are drawn that, what happens is, from Marina to St. Thomas Mount, you are measured. That line becomes a baseline. So now you move the theodolite to the other 2 ends, go to the other end. So you get another third line. Like this, the whole thing has been drawn through the totally with the triangles. First baseline, second baseline, over that they will make the, and continuously, if they are making baselines after baselines, it will become triangles like this. Lambton's idea is to measure the whole country with this type of triangles. Look at how he traveled from Madurai, Dindikkal, and Tiruchi, Salem. At the same time, he was ensuring the other end also being done by sending few people, just only keep the flag ready. He will not allow them to take the measurement. There will be always a surveying party, advance party will go and wait for Lambton to come to that place and make the measurement so that he can do it. The original plan is go up to Mysore, from there to Mangalore. But he was able to do that. Now talking and looking at the triangles sounds easy. But what Lambton faced is unbelievable, rather unbelievable. And look at this way. There are a lot of incidents are there all through, but we have no time to have the discuss on thing. Better I suggest either you read my book or the book by William K. See, what one place before reaching Karnataka, Mangalore, he wants to go via first he goes via Tirunelveli, Nagarcoil, and all that. And there in the notes he has written about some places people are welcoming him, some people are there. They questioned him. He mentioned about Tirunelveli. They said, it is that I find the first city of cultured people, they understood what is a map making. See, so beautifully has written, probably people hail from the district or people, they will feel proud about it. So many years ago, a British man has said that Tirunelveli is a place where the people are being cultured and they know about map making. They helped him. But it is not at all the places. From there, he moved towards, because he has to move to Mangalore. In between Hosur and before reaching Karnataka, there is a hill. Lambton has a fascination. Whenever he sees a hill, he put up a camp there bottom and the base and put mount of the mission there and start working on it so that he'll get a longer distance of a bigger baseline so that his job will be easier for the next stage. So he put it, and it has been part of that area is under tribe. These tribes of first, they do not know what it is. They said, no, you can't do anything else. Then Lambton, with all interpreters, Lambton had an interpreter also. He explains it is a national importance and the government has permitted and this and that and all that. Finally, reluctantly they agreed. But what happened is the survey team goes there in the top of the hill, put a flag there. See, always flag is considered to be a symbol of authority. This tribe doesn't know about the difference between a survey flag and a national flag or a country flag. They thought this man is going to occupy their place because he's a British man and come with a lot of this thing, including the equipment. The equipment may be used for firing us. All imaginations and all the rumors have been there. They said, no, you can't do that. The poor man has to explain about what is this mission, what is about the measurement and all that. They said, you have to talk to our chief. So he spoke to his chief also. And the chief also come and examine the mission. And he said, okay, you can have it and no harm. He advised his people, no harm. But within 3 days, there is a lot of hullabaloo. They came back and asked him to stop the work. And they said, we are arresting your people. 3 people have been, and his man has been arrested. Lambton got a shock of it and he went and asked him. And chief says, you will be surprised. No, you got a dangerous mission. If you look into that, things have been showing upside down. You are looking all our wells on that, so our waters will become dry. We don't allow you. Look at this. They won't allow a trigonometry exercise just because they were. No. Then he explained, the poor man has to explain how the telescope will work, how the reverse image will be retranslated as a regular image. All these things he has to explain. They very reluctantly understood. He said, okay, continue. But the very next day, there was another objection. Daytime, this man is seeing through his mission. In our ladies, and they are all taking bath and they are all doing the private things. This man is watching from the top through a very long mission which show him everything. Don't allow him. Again, Lambton got fed up with it, but he doesn't lost his hope. He explained and take the measurements. He completed the base. Look at what I'm trying to tell you is he is prepared to meet any eventuality or any sort of a thing and is proceed with his work. See, then slowly his contingent became bigger and bigger. He got in the British fellows of the British government are very, very wise. When I send a surveyor team, they send on geology also. That man's job is to collect the samples from every place and find out what is the possibility of getting mines or whatever the possibilities, so that he was collecting the soil. He has nothing to do with the survey, but wherever he goes, he has to collect samples and send it to Madras. He and his family, Lambton's and his two other assistants, and a host of workers, and 3 bullock carts. Oh, look at the panoplia. It becomes a day by day larger because so many things have been continuously getting done. But with that, all that, one thing was certain that he was very keen on completing the mission. But all places he was not being welcomed. The reason is they find this bigger team from these people are taking more of their food and meat, vegetable, and all that. The small village, they feel that all this European, this Britishers come and they take our food and they don't pay it also, all the problems are. So many places, the entrance itself, where they have been blocked, don't come here. He faced that wrath also. In the beginning, I told you, he has not faced the challenges made by nature, by people also. Here, very interestingly, I noticed that Lambton has a small office at Pondicherry. Every one phase he completes, suppose a major baseline and distance economy, he comes to Pondicherry and record all the details and keep one copy of his documents there. But the Lambton has given a very good record keeper. He keeps all the things very perfectly. But what is missing is he never has mentioned anything about his personal life. Who is he? Who is he? We came to know because of the other British documents. How, whether I got a friends, I knew nothing sort of it. He never go to the club and he don't have the people. He always obsessed with his work and all that. It appears that he's a sort of a reserved, different European and not mixing with the public and attending his work. But luckily, when we were tracing for all these things about Lambton and his journey and all that, French Institute of Pondicherry, they have probably, you must be knowing, they're one of the best archives they have and one of the best reference material they provide. And 3 people are there. They're very much interested in helping anybody doing research. They have mentioned about one of their documents. Lambton got married a girl of Tamil Nadu. So I checked up with the chief librarian and he said, yes, it's a fact. And he sent me the details of it. What is the detail was, Lambton had 3rd child. It had been baptized day. In the document, they have written the father and mother name. His father is William Lambton, mother is Kumarabu. Kumarabu is like probably in English, French people are writing English. It must be a sounds of Tamil name. Kumaripu or Kumarpu. Kumarpu is a common name used in the northern part of Viluppuram and those things even today. And in that he has mentioned, it is being with the people attended the baptism ceremony along with the guest, his 2 children who are aged and all, he has mentioned it in the document. So we come to know that he got 3 children. Now his wife is a Tamilian. But it is a sort of an information perhaps not been recorded or revealed anywhere. He has come to love this country and to do this surveying, and he loved one of our girls also. And he started moving. She showed you in the map, we are going to other places like Dindakal and all this before going to. At one of the areas, from Tiruchirappalli, he comes to Tanjavur. When I look at this great temple, look at everybody has every idea. Lambton wanted to keep his theolite there and measure it. And he at one end, he wanted to do it from Srirangam, the other end he wanted. The idea was great, but the temple authorities are reluctant to admit him. There are two groups in the temple committee. One says, after all, he is doing for us only, we can permit. And probably we'll charge something and we'll do. Other one says, it's a sanctum sanctorum that we should not allow this foreigner, especially in the Vellakara. Well, these people, they should not allow. A lot of discussions are going on. So Lambton seeks their permission to explain what he is going to do to the public with the help of an interpreter. They permitted. Then one night their meeting has been organized. Finally, it has been resolved. You know how it has been resolved? Lambton can do the survey. He can take care like the place the arrow is shown, but he has to pay money for the temple, one. Number two, he has to give employment for 25 people till the project is over. Lambton has already had a battalion of people who were not able to do things properly, and they have been trained all along. He said, if you are not accepting, you do not do that. Finally, because he has to seek a permission for his budget, and it has to come from Chennai, and he had to wait for some time. He waited and finally got clear. But the other group, see, probably it is not the question of aspiring a caste failing or any such a thing. There is a responsibility of the people are there. There have been assigned, such caste people have been assigned the responsibility of guarding the temple. You will be surprised, even they have not been allowed inside the temple to the sanctum, but they are the guardians of the temple. This guardian group, they felt that this white man should not be allowed, but the committee, whatever they let them decide. So finally, but they are doing something on their own which they are not being told. Finally, what happened was, with a very great difficulty with the local man, with the pulleys have been fixed and ropes have been tied up by a slanting, this things, a patch have been, theodolite has been up there. But what happened? Before making it, theodolite has been fallen from that place. It is broken. It is broken as 4 pieces. And it was Lambton has a shock of his life. He becomes speechless because first one, his mission his work has got abruptly, his mission has stopped. Second one, he loved the mission so much, now it happened. There is a theory, there is a sabotage by a set of people to get the rope has been not been tied up properly, or they made a rope in such a way. It is only a theory, but we are not sure about it. There is no authentic information about it. But the fact is, there is an accident. But how to get it? He has to get another mission from London, or he has to get sent to London to get it repaired. Both are not possible. Already the government is worried about his expenses. They will not permit. So what they do, he was worried. 3 days he didn't come out of the tent. People working with them was started telling this fellow become mad, and probably we all lose our job, and he is going back to London with this mission. But this is only what Lambton has written. We thought he has mentioned about it. The same thing has been recorded, which we could come to know later. It is one of the manner. At that time, the Engineer Journal was considered to be the best journal for the engineers published from London. It is one of the authentic papers have been published on there. It says the great theodolite received an injury in the year 1808 while it was being hoisted at the summit of a lofty pagoda of Tanjore. It was repaired by Lambton himself. But was it a fact he is repaired himself? The fact it is repaired, but you know who did the repairing? And Lambton, some local people are advising him. There is a village, blacksmiths are there, they are very efficient people nearby. You call them and they will do it. Lambton, off a mind, he said, let's also try this, because if you go to London, it will take some time. To his surprise, he found that village. That time it was known as Punpatti, not Punmalaipatti. Later on, it becomes there is a rock there. It is called Punpatti, and the Britishers made it as a rock, golden rock. Immediately become Tamil. It's Punmalai. But the old record says it's a Punpatti. These Punpatti people are basically, by tradition, by birth, They are all efficient blacksmiths. They know how to merge things and how to get the things done. When Lambton showing the wheel and said where it has been, how it has to be fabricated, and they have done the job at ease within a matter of 2 weeks. Lambton astonished. He has written in his notes, even in England, qualified, trained, educated blacksmiths cannot do this job so perfectly. But he has to ensure the machine works well. So he tested. He continued to stay in Tanjavur for more than a month to just ensure and testing the machine, which has been already measured, but he was keeping on measuring other things. And the encourage went along with him. No? They are all happy. Without work, they are getting a pay. And the Tanjore laborers also, they are also getting paid for doing nothing. As a matter of fact, they did a damage. Probably they must have helped to get the damage, but they are also being paid. That is how the British was spending money on this, though it was those things are not being been propagated or well published. I think the fact is just to measure a few 100 meters, British government has spent a lot of money and people have put a lot of struggle on this. So from this Ponbeti, the wheel is okay and things are okay. He started moving further. Furthermore, if you look at this man, his ambition is to make the whole India like this. And how he can do this is, I've seen the earlier slide. Look at the first one on the map in the top is for our convenience, southern part of India has been elongated to show how he measured it. This from one end of southern India to other end of southern India with a full of triangles. This much portion he has completed, the drawings were ready, notes were ready, everything was there. Often he goes to Pondicherry, there also he kept them. Along with it, he is carrying. So every day he writes 3 set of notes, one for London, one for his Pondicherry office, one for himself to carry along with him to make the further integration or corrections. So at one point of time, this itself was occupied in 4 or 5 big cases. For that, they need another cart. He writes that his personal clothing have been only 1 box, whereas my documents have been 8 boxes. He writes in his note. And a very dedicated person, he always carried his notes also with him. And often he is discussing the people. Other people got fed up. Every day, this man day and night talks only about this. It's a new place you have to come and see and all that. There are some frictions also there on and, now and then. But he is going on the job. Then where he goes, look at the, finally, after all this, he has been moving from this thing, he is moving to next spot. This he has to go to Malabar. That is through Trivandrum. He goes to Trivandrum and the Thiruvananthapuram Maharaja says, no survey, nothing. We have a perfect record of our lands and we are surveying it every 3rd year and making any alterations required. You have no business to enter here, you can go. If you want, we'll give a copy of our maps, you integrate. He immediately says, we are integrating the whole India and this and that. You integrate our map, he said. No permission was that. The one was very strict about it. Then he says, I found in your map, Malabar has not been measured by you. Please permit me to measure Malabar and I'll take the rest of things from your map. They agreed. And immediately, like any other things, you take our man also, you pay him. How many people you will take? He agreed. And he agreed he'll take a team of also with them. They were planning to go to Malabar. See, that time Malabar means it is in a separate state. It is not a princely state under Triangle. There are a lot of always friction fight will be there. Those Maplas are given. They feel there it is their own country and Nayas are nothing to do with that. So they have to get a permission and he goes there. But what happened was, it was a terrible rain. The rain started. He has to abandon the journey. But in addition to this, because of the rain and the people got sick and they had a mosquito bite. That time the mosquito was known as a mosquito that was found at a later. That is also one of the contributory benefit of this theodolite survey. The YC and a doctor accompanied them. He only found out this has been by an insect. They were believing that some bad omen, these people are getting a fever, and we are teasing the nature. That's why this God has punished us. Everyone is getting fever. That was the feeling they were when widespread. And finally, it has been found it's some malaria. 15 people died on that. Already one encounter, they had about 10 people. Now the count goes to 25. Then Lambton felt very bad, but still it doesn't. It's not make him stop his work. So he continues. He continues and he goes further. And this look at this. This is how its entrance will be there. The tents are becoming larger, more people, and at the left-hand side, can you see a person is that is Lambton. Even other people are at leisure. This man was measuring something with only by telescope, not with their light. Always he is doing like that. And the one other note one of his colleagues says is, and he will be even without food, not without mission. That's what he is writing. So from there, because the Malabar mission has failed and he is not able to save, he switched over to Hyderabad. It was not his intention to go to Hyderabad and make a measure. The British people are always very, very clever. They wanted to have established their ties with the Hyderabad Nizam, which he is very vehemently refusing it. He is no place for, but he wants to be very friendly with the British because he's already European educated and he visits abroad often. But he doesn't want them to step into the rule or something. So they want to entice him for doing something. We do a survey in your place and we will give the perfect measurement and this and that. Nizam has agreed and they allowed, but not so easily. Lambton has to wait 5 days to get his audience. Look at, he has been appointed by the Governor General of India. He has been recommended by the governor, but in Hyderabad, he has to wait for the audience. Finally, he said, okay. But again, he said, you have to take my people. You are new to this place. You do not know. Somebody will snatch your mission. So you take, I'm sending gods for you. And Lambton politely says, I have enough gods and 1 or 2 people. No, you take about 8 or 10 people. One squad, he says. Slowly it becomes 15. 15 people he has to take for doing the measurement of Hyderabad, northern Andhra area. It was really a killing task for him. He was unable to manage. The manpower management is more, it takes a lot of his time than doing the surveying, which Lambton doesn't like. So finally what happens is these people have been joined there and these people are really sort of bad guys. And they are very rough and very tough fellows. They do not know anything about survey. They do not appreciate about the efforts of the thing. They feel they got a job under a white man who will be paying them and feeding them. Their interest is always of food wherever he goes. Because of these people, man, their team gets a bad name. Oh, these fellows have come like that. So he tolerated all these things. At that point of time, a very important turning point in the Great Survey of India, that is our, in this one way, a young man joins him as an assistant. Lambton was asking for an assistant for so many years. You know that white elephant not move so easily. Finally, it moved and sent a person. His name is Everest. This George Everest is a qualified surveyor. He has been working as a surveyor in London. He studied everything. So he's got a better, Tansen was happy. He got at least he got a person with the knowledge who can understand things and do things faster. But he's an intelligent person, but a very tough person. He was handling the workers very badly. At one point in time, he shoot a person there. It becomes a very big issue because nobody is allowed to use a gun in Hyderabad, Andhra, except Nizam. So that becomes an issue. Finally, it has been settled. But he was able to handle these people very tough. And the way in which Everest handled, Lambton himself writes, perhaps I would have got this man earlier. Initially, he says he doesn't like this man. But later he has written, I could have got this man earlier. So where he goes, from Hyderabad, he was able to go to Nagpur. But what happens was, a tough person unable to get along with the workman that is there. But this is the Everest photograph taken at a later part of the life. When he had joined at Hyderabad, he was close to 35 or something. He was in a major and rank in a major, and he was looking very bright. And the pictures are not available here. So before he about to start his trip to Nagpur, He had a call from Calcutta, from the Governor General of India. The Governor General is the Supreme Commander, and so nobody can. He is unable to explain that I am under the mission and I have to continue this and all that. So he has necessarily to go. Traveling from Hyderabad to Calcutta, it will take 6 days on those days. So we do not know how much day he has to stay in Calcutta. So he thought for Nagpur, we want to send Everest first, then we can do that. But Everest has a different idea. You come to Hyderabad back and go to Nagpur. By the time I will go towards the north and complete this central line as early as possible, instead of waiting for you to join me and together and all that. Since he's a qualified surveyor, he was able to handle things better and explain things better. Lambton thought he can do it. He allowed him to proceed further. And he goes to Viceroy, he goes to Calcutta to meet Governor General. And Everest proceeds to the central part of India. Of course, not to Nagpur. He goes beyond further because Nagpur, Lambton is going to take. But before that, he was decided to take the measurements of this is a call from, the call was, what for? He has been promoted as a surveyor general. That is the topmost position of surveyor in India. And this surveyor post promotion will come, but the promotion to be awarded only by Governor General in person. They have put a cross ribbon, I think, then only all promotions have been confirmed. It is not like a mere paper order. And British bureaucracy, there are a lot of things to be done. So he has to go. But when he reached Calcutta only, understood, it is not for a mere promotion. Why? Governor General wanted the survey to be completed within 5 years. He says almost 60% of India we have got into our grip. Rest of the India we should got it early. But the main purpose of their intention was to exact measurement of the area which they are ruling and the money which they can levy charges as a tax and revenue. And of course, rail or laying the railroad and bus, also, transportation, communication is also there. But the principal idea is money. And after all, a company is basically a commercial company. Lambton is not happy with the promotion. Unhappy with the work and happy with the promotion. He's unable to explain what exactly that. He's a sort of a confused man is coming back to Hyderabad to proceed to Nagpur. Look at the way he doesn't want, unable to go from Calcutta to directly to Nagpur because he's a team and all things, documents are there. So he has to come back. By the time what happens, and this Everest has started measuring nearby area before proceeding to north. First, he wanted to do the Vijayawada and where the river Krishna is there. His idea is to, across the river, if you put there is also a hill. From here, if you use a baseline and use a theodolite there, perhaps you could cover a larger area in a shorter period. That was his ambition plan. But the moment when he reached the river Krishna, suddenly the flash floods come and people are telling you, wait for another 4 days, this flood will go automatically. Every time it happens like this. But he's not adamant. He says, I have to complete my mission as planned. I don't listen, I don't want your advice and all that. So he hired elephants and one elephant exclusive for carrying the theodolite. To cross the river when the flood is going, and the other side of the hill you want to go and put up at the top of it. He was very adamant in the plan, but he may be foolishly adamant, but not the elephants. The elephants, though it is higher, the moment when you put the first leg on the river, it understood the speed and it immediately refused to move further an inch. The elephants are not able to move further because the elephants could understand the speed and depth of the flood by putting the first leg itself. And really really Everest was being worried about it, how to do it. But he doesn't want to leave the He said, he hired a boatman. 2 or 3 boats we hired will go. The people are cursing him. What sort of man? Why he is doing like that? Can't he not wait for 4 days? Lambton waited so many months. But it is all adamancy. He took the theodolite there in a boat and he goes on a boat. After crossing there, they're going to see the hill and he is unable to measure the hill on the top because it was a lot of forest area. which he was not visualized from the other end of the river. So he wanted that to be cleaned first so that he can have a clear view. He engaged the laborers to clean that. So they are all we thought they are all ruffians, but you know what they did? After all, this white man wanted to see the top very clearly. Why should we cut off the trees? So they have pruned the trees to a certain level so that they can see through the machine, they can see the top very easily. Everest really appreciate thinking about saving the plants, at the same time creating way. But the story doesn't end there. The survey team went, it does not come back after 3 days. Flag was not hoisted to it. To find out what happened to the survey team, he sent the second survey team. They also not returned. The third survey team, the fellow came running, and all the 2 survey team people have died there. We can't go further. Some sort of a disease we are getting there. Some bites or insect bite or something. So we saw. He has no other option than to abandon that. And he has to come back without measuring that. First time in Lambton's this thing, he has, Lambton never returned any place without completing. He'll wait very patiently, talk to people, cajole them, or beg them, whatever it is. But Everest was not that sort of a person. And for that, Lambton is writing in his diary. Everest with his, in his enthusiasm and ambition, made a mistake. But he could have corrected for waiting 4 days. And we lost another 10 people, and we lost a good opportunity of measuring that place also. He is worried only about that. He is writing like that. So George Everest proceed further. But he is a very clever man. He thought on a great idea. Why every place we have to go to the hill or temple or wherever the height? This height, why not we create and keep the mission there? So what he does is, he created, the first one we are seeing is, he created with the bamboo sticks. Very solid bamboo sticks, about 60 feet, 70 feet. He put local technicians or local laborers are doing it. In that he mounts a light and do it. And little later what he does is, he asks the local people to build one so that it can be used in case of need of the later date. And the local administration cannot say no because he is representing, but he is a sort of a man with a very strong, arrogant expression. They are to oblige. So even today, we could see in some places these erected pillars. They do not know what is it. They do not say even it's for survey. They say it is a foreigner's, a white man's pillar. What they may not be knowing what for the white man built it. Actually, it is all survey towers which he had kept it. And Everest is too clever. With this type of bamboo thing, he is able to measure the places in the night also, keeping a lamp over there. It's a really intelligent move. So that is save time. At the same time, second measurement, third measurement can be taken by the night also. But the laborers are finding it difficult because they were working 24 hours under this man. Morning also he was, but Everest is not worried about it. So next stage, what it is. And after this, what happened? And this Clampton returns to Nagpur. And from Nagpur, before reaching Nagpur also, for about 16 days he does survey. And then from Nagpur, he wants to proceed further and join with Everest, where he has already done a major portion of the work. And indirectly, he was a little jealous about Everest also, because what the amount of ocean Everest has surveyed in the period which Lambton could not do that, because he is obsessed with the perfection, whereas Everest is, though he is perfect, he is obsessed with the speed, because he wanted to deliver. And his ambition is to complete the project within 5 years and go back to London. He was not a person like loving India and staying here. He wants to go back as early as possible with all promotions he can. So that was his idea. So this has been the, but he was while working at after Nagpur, and Everest one day received a telegram, which is a shocking, from the governor of Madras. Colonel Lambton died at Nagpur. Go and take charge immediately. So look at the British administration always worried because they never keep an office without the head of the person in charge of that. That is the bureaucracy. Still, even today, India is also following. So he has to, he was rushing there to Nagpur. Number one, he has to see what happened to, why it has happened to Lambton. Number two, he has to become a, because Lambton was in the surveyor general. He has the topmost position in India, which normally Everest will not get for another at least 6 years. So he's, in a way, he was happy that he was going to become a surveyor. He is, general, and he is coming back. But when he came to Nagpur only, they are not waited for him. Already they have placed him in the grave unceremoniously. Though there is a local administration, British people are there, they are not cared as, when they, according to them, survey is not an important thing. And Lambton is also not presenting himself in the moment whenever he arrives. He doesn't meet local big people and say hello to them. He'll be starting his work and going out of this place. And here, Everest has been trying to wind up because his office has been wound up. It is a surveyor general's office, no? Lot of paperwork and all that. And patiently, Everest is attending it. But Everest is one good thing. He also writes a journal, but he writes only things glorifying himself or praising somebody. Unlike Lambton, Lambton is very point to the core. He writes only the facts. He writes many things also. So in that he vacated the place and sent the documents and those things, the personal things to Pondicherry and official things to Chennai, and he started moving further. There he found one unopened cover. There are a lot of mails. Lambton has not opened it. He opened it to see that because something may have been from London. There, for his astonishment, he see a person worked under Lambton very long ago, and he is there as a person in England who invented the pendulum. That man has written to him, you don't worry about carrying your such a heavy theodolite, and don't worry about it. I have made a mission which can be carried by hand by yourself. Such a small mission, the same thing, I have made it. I am sending you to the next ship so that from after that your job will be easier and faster. Look at the man who loved their light. But when he got a smaller version of it, he was not there to receive it. In Nagpur, this ambitious man's dream journey ended here. Ended here, perhaps some months only. Look at this tombstone. This has been identified as a cemetery or a grave. By present National or present Geographic Society of India. But we have one author whose name is John Kay. He is a Britisher. He did a lot of research in India, written books on Kashmir, written books on northern part of Himalayas. He has written a book about Lambton's journey. It is called as The Great Arc. Of course, the Great Arc conveys so many things, including Lambton's journey. In that, he mentioned this is wrong, this is not the place. Because to find that place and write about it, he went to Pune, Nagpur, and searched here and there, and finally he found his grave was there inside a Muslim's grave. Normally, Britishers everywhere, they have their own graveyard and put their bodies there only, because almost every place it is very close to church. They were searching near churches, so finally found, and he records it by he found a place with the name of Lambton written wrongly with the local spelling or this thing. He has taken a photographs and all that. But his grave is there in Nagpur. Whether this one or what cave one, we do not know. Anyway, it's always said, explorers are buried, but explorations are lived. That is how the theory works. And this exactly happened in Lambton. Such a hard work he did, and the thing about the glory of British, but no memorial was there for him anywhere in India. In Nagpur also, officially there is no document recorded that only 2 lines was being mentioned by journal by the local collector. A foreign survey team head by name William Lambton has passed away. That's what they are not even mentioned a word about his long work and all that. Like this, we can see some stone here and there. This is near Mangalore. These are all the stones which is indicating the survey team has put up tent here or measured there. And it is not the memorials tableau or it's a grave or anything. Like this, it will be there. That also not been properly maintained. So no memorial for him. So the Everest continues his journey. And he was so fast, within 3.5 years, he reached Dehradun, where the Great Arc Survey is going to be the final line, that is last line of the survey. From Dehradun, they are going to make it so that the map will be completed. It will be verified and cross-checked by the Royal Society, then map will be published. That is the idea, that is the plan. But in Dehradun, Everest, when we have started working this baseline work, he got because of his influence with the government, he is able to get good assistance and quite a good team of people who can understand the job and doing it perfectly. And because the Calcutta was the seat of a power and very close to, perhaps more nearer to Dehradun than Chennai, they allowed him an office there. They given him all sort of facility there. But Everest was not keeping good health. He was falling sick often, and he was wanted to take a long sabbatical, about 1 year, 2 years. So when this baseline is over, he says his job is over. Look at the baseline. This is all from the Dehradun, Mussoorie, and on the foot of the hills of Himalayas. He put the baseline. The baseline also, you look at the way he has gone from the hilltops. So the hilltops are all very, in the sense it is not obstacles to go. It is a hilltop, but at the same time, because of the British and the army soldiers helped him and all that, they were able to get things faster than Lambton. Baseline is over. But here, the Great Trigonometric Survey of India had many surprises, including Lambton's shock to death and other surprises. One is the biggest surprise was there. Here, the Everest assistant is called Andrew. He has was measuring every day, 1 day from the baseline, just like that, for the heck of it, he saw through their light this Everest. When he measured it, he found it is higher than original declared mountain K2 in Europe. If it is proved, it is going to be the tallest mountain in the world. But Andrew Scott was not in a hurry to do that. He is worried because he was also an army officer. If a wrong information is given, right information, if it is there properly, you get a prize. But if it is wrong, he may even be punished by the army because it is not like a civilian. He is an army surveyor. So he has to be doubly cautious. So what he says, he has been assisted by one Sikandar from West Bengal. He is a Bengali. These two people, is it really the fact that because at the top of the hill, the problem is always the snow is being falling and height of the snow should not be taken as a height of the mountain. So which is the height of the snow, which is the least point of the snow is being. So at different point of time and different days, they are taking the measurement. Continuously, they are taking measurements like this. And one place, even today, if you go to Dehradun or Siliguri, is a Tiger Hills. People, the tourist people will be taking, were told if you go to Tiger Hills, you can see all the peaks and sunrise, you can see even all Nilkand, you can see that and all that. But this man, so this square portion is the Tiger Hill. Tiger Hill is the right place, exactly perpendicular to top of the Everest. So from there, he has taken a baseline and using his own lovely mission, and he measured the top of Everest, and he did it for 2 full years, almost about 22 times. He has not declared this. Finally, he declared, and he informs this is the tallest mountain in the world, not the mountain which has been declared as a K2 in Europe, not the Kanchenjunga declared by Chinese. It is only it is an Indian side, so it is an Indian territory. So India got the tallest mountain in the world. He declares, but it is not accepted by the people at Calcutta easily because he's a junior most officer, and already they are unhappy with the Everest. And already they are unhappy with his team also. Why this man is making a false propaganda? So somebody comes there to check and they also confirms it. Here comes the next important thing. When an explorer or a surveyor, or if they invented or if they on their exploration, if they found something, they got the privilege of naming it. They can name it themselves, or they can name it somebody, or they can name it even that place itself. That is the tradition followed by British Royal Society of Explorers. So now Arthur Scott has to name this peak. Till such a time it was known as a peak of no specific name about it. Of course, there are some, like any other, see, you must have seen all the Himalayan peaks are in the name of God. Mount Kailash, Parvat, Nilkant, like that only. They were calling in Tibetans were calling with some sort of their own god, but that's not the official name declared by the Royal Society. So at this point, Arthur Scott has decided to name this as Everest. You know why? Everest is a senior officer. He helped him to get all his promotions and helped him to learn the job, and he appreciated him often. Appreciated him often getting the job with a selfish interest. Might have been a selfish interest of Everest because he was not well. Continuously he was not well for 3-4 years. Often he takes a sick off and go to his place for treatment or everywhere. But he wanted to respect his guru. Please understand, Indian soil makes this also. The peak was named after Everest on account of the respect of a person for his guru. It's nothing but a Guru Dakshina. Everest has been named as Everest. Today, the whole world knows about Everest. Probably many of them, including Indians, might be thinking it has been explored by Everest himself because he's a surveyor. People know Everest is a surveyor. He did the baseline. People know this. The peak has been named, but you'll be surprised if I say an information. Everest took an early retirement and left to London before this was being announced by Arthur Scott. That means Everest, explorer Everest, or surveyor general of Everest has not come and seen the peak after its name as Everest Peak. Can you believe this? But these things have not been told to our children. These things have not been propagated or published very nicely. People are still believing. I have seen some books, The Man on Mountain, they put Everest picture on the, before that they put Himalayas. And I used to think, why not they put Arthur Scott picture or something else? No, this, I mean, some traditions will never die in this country. This is also, and somebody will take a name and somebody will do the job. Okay. Now, after measuring the Everest, the problem is, see, Everest has got a beautiful view of different places. But Arthur Scott decided to take the measurement from different places and he doesn't want to average it. He says, which is the least can be taken. See, look at the intelligent fellow. He was not taken there, which is the higher portion of it. If another portion may be 2 feet less, he says, okay, let us take it because other side might have been a stope. Nothing but a snow or anything. It's a rocky mountain. It's a useless rock. Nothing can be done on it, except always you get a snow there. But geography people, we cannot make it there. So this is how this theodolite has been brought new surprises about naming of the Everest and Mount Everest, which is the tallest in the world in India. But Everest, after his, before his retirement, he built a house. He bought a land and built a house there. Normally, the officials will not, you'll stay there in India, but this man wanted to live permanently in India. They put a different type of a house and he built it. Unfortunately, he could not live there and he left London. But after reaching London, his health became all right. He got a membership in Royal Society by using all his influences as well as the achievement. And he gets the lordship also. And finally, he gets the lordship also. Whether Lambton's ambition is to become a member in the Royal Society after completing the great arc of India and show with the research, with the credentials, he wants to become a member in the Royal Society because admission to the Royal Society is a most privileged thing for any explorer. But they must have a formal educational qualification and a certain amount of a degree of respect in the society also. Because we earned that, Lambton was staying there, but Everest got it. Today, the same place, if you go to Mussoorie, they'll take these tourist agents or they'll be taking you to the destination Everest, Camp George Everest. And as if that people are happy, as if they are going to the Everest, they say in the sort of umbrella tents and pay very huge money for that. So this is how the story of Brett, Mark, Lambton started it, Everest continued it, Scott completed it. But friends, please note, none of these people got any memorial. Not even a building is named after them. Not even a road is named after them. Forget about the statue or and no honor has been given by the British government, either by awarding a title. And of course, Everest got his share of his prize, but other two people have not been got it. Okay, forget about it. Government of India also, with a very, it was not a very automatic piece. In the frontline editor, Ram was insisting when the Trigonometry Society, the survey completed the memory of 100th year or 150th year, he insisted the government of India to release a stamp in their favor. And with the picture, that was the only honor they did, and nothing else did. And it's a regret part of the story, this one. Of course, in St. Thomas Mount, there is a statue for William Lambton, but that is not erected by the government or commissioned by the government. It is a church which he did, because he first placed his theodolite on the top of the church. And so they are very proud about it. They are honoring him. That too, after his death, they put the statue on the plaque. And friends, history is fabulous. Geography is tenacious. So when you see the map next time, remember, it is not a mere geography, but it has a long history of suffering and sacrifices of few leaders and many individuals. Many of them are Indians. Please tell your children, it is not a mere map, it has something beyond that. Please tell your friends, even if they are not interested in geography, they should be proud, they should know about this. Please tell them and make them understand the sacrifice done by Lambton, Everest, and Scott, and a host of other people. And the whole nation is benefited. Today we have a map, and today we may have a GPS to tell in seconds the places, directions, and all that. For the GPS, the basis, the map prepared by Lambton. And of course, it's improved by him. And the improvement as well as the corrections is, forget it. Political corrections we are not talking about here. And even today, we don't have a correct border line with the three countries, and we are suffering, which is the map is like one fine morning, China says Arunachal Pradesh is for them, and one fine morning, we say Siachen is for them. So that is forgetting. But basically, the map has been rightly measured. And that is the reason. See, even after all these things, and today they are measuring with a laser. When they recently measured Everest by laser from the base, almost about 3 feet or 2.5 feet less than what so many years ago Andrew Scott is measured. So what is the perfection level you look at it? So let us salute these people. With this, I complete. And if anything I can share with you, please carry on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful session.
So much. Thank you so much, Mr. Ramanan. Two things I would like to add to this. One, I for one feel very proud to be associated with ancient roots, and two, as part of ancient roots, we take a lot of pleasure and pride hosting this talk. In fact, I would go on to say that Mr. Ramanan has redefined the word ancient and has given more meaning to our organization for calling it as ancient roots, because ancient doesn't necessarily mean which are beyond 300, 400 years. And in the last 200, 250 years itself, so many things have happened, and we have been completely ignorant or never bothered to dwell into it. Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough for this brilliant presentation. Unfortunately, we are running short of time, so we could not take up any questions, but we are opening up the questions in our YouTube channel. I have posted the YouTube link in the chat section. Please go there, post your questions in the description. We will gather the answers from Mr. Ramanan and post it back in the channel.
If possible, I can chat with them and explain to them. I love to do that. And if people are interested, are you closing now, Rajan?
No, okay. You want me to?
Well, the meeting is closed, or can
please
you?
raise your hand. Yeah, please post your questions in the chat. I will take it up with Mr. Ramanan if you have any questions. If any of you have any questions for Mr. Ramanan, please post it in the chat. I will take them.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I have written a book on this lantern's journey. In Tamil, it is known as Kadaisi Kodu. And perhaps Rajaram has reviewed it beautifully because he enjoyed it so nice, thoroughly. And people are interested, they can get it either from Pustaka or Amazon, or they can read it in Kindle also.
Oh, sure. I would like to take up a copy. Thank you.
Where is the bus in
where
St.
hills?
The St. Thomas Mount, you have to go in the steps and reach the church. On the eastern side of the church, a big banyan tree is there. Under the banyan tree, there are 4 statues are there. One is William Lambton. You can read the board there and you can see that. But it's a very small, so probably in a pedestal of 4 feet, the statue is about 1 feet. That's all. At least we should thank the church for having recognized it. What is the other question? Somebody made a question.
No more questions. So we will wrap up with this. Okay. What was Mount Everest called before this survey?
Pardon?
What was Mount Everest called before this survey?
No, see, there are 4 peaks have been without a name, but the people, geographic people, have been identifying it with an initial and a number. The number is, the initial has been used elsewhere. It has been known as a peak K2. The peak K2 was the Everest, named after later. Earlier it was known as the K2. Why they call it the K2? Unless a name has been given, approved by Royal Society, every country will have been using their own names. In China, they have their own name of it. Even today, they are disputing. They are not measured from the Chinese side. Probably if they measure, that will be higher than this Indian side. That is one of the claims they are making.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. We will wrap up with this.
Okay,
thank you so much. Thank you, all participants.